So it's time to do 55 minutes of business on this very special Trump Day, Global Trump Day. Welcome to the program. Here's what we have prepared for you. World Economic Forum, the 55th edition, begins in Davos, Switzerland. You can expect us. We'll give you details of that. We have a correspondent covering that for us. Petrol price hike in Nigeria. Dangote has placed this against the backdrop of global oil prices increase. And Kenya farmers are switching from wheat to maize because of price dip. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm John Mekwa. Let's do business. Starting from the global space, we can tell you that gold cut early losses on Monday as investors looked forward to, of course, the Donald Trump inauguration speech for clarity on the incoming administration's policies, which could offer further clues on the Federal Reserve's interest rate path. Spot gold was down today, lost 0.1%, $2,697.60 per ounce after falling 0.5% earlier in the day. U.S. gold futures also dropped 0.3% to $2,740.10. Market players are keenly awaiting Trump's inauguration later on today, and his broad trade tariff policies are expected to further ignite inflation and trigger trade wars, potentially increasing billions safe haven appeal. Well, looking at other metals, also spot silver was down 0.6%, $30.16 per ounce, and palladium steadied. I will have it right there, unchanged at $947.99. Silver is in the red, 0.6%, $30.16, and platinum is 0.2% down. So we know that a lot of markets and investors are very uncertain at this time. Just watching the space, listening keenly. I think for Nigeria it's about 5:30 p.m. For the inauguration, and you can expect Channels TV will keep you abreast, so you don't switch that channel, because we'll give you all the information you need, expectations, how it's going to affect the Nigerian economy, trade talks, diplomacy, and all of that. So just stay here on Channels Television and we'll keep you very well informed. And the 55th annual meeting of the World Economic Forum is on in Davos, Switzerland, with the theme Collaboration for the Intelligent Age. That's the theme. The program will be oriented around 5 distinct but highly interconnected thematic priorities, which are rebuilding trust, reimagining growth, investing in people, safeguarding the planet and industries in the intelligent age. The annual meeting is expected to convene close to 3,000 leaders from over 130 countries, 350 governmental leaders, including Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima, 60 heads of states and governments from all key regions. The meeting is to address pressing challenges and shape emerging opportunities, as well as geo-economic fragmentation, geopolitical polarization, and divisions over values as they continue to impact countries and communities across the world. So it's first day today, even though they had some pre-meeting yesterday, and we have our correspondent there, Emperor Simon, and subsequently throughout this week, apart from our correspondent who would of course give us the details of it, we'll also get some high-powered individuals who are attending that meeting to keep us abreast of what's happening. Now, oil prices were steady on Monday. Australians are, of course, awaiting President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration, the hope of clarity on his policy agenda, including plans to end the Russia-Ukraine war, which he promised he would do before even getting into office. Now, looking at the numbers, I hope we can have that. Brent futures, we see down 0.48% at $80.40 a barrel, while Brent, WTI, I beg your pardon, is still on $77.72 a barrel, down 0.21%. Needless to say, it's World Trump Day and everything is reacting to that inauguration, which is expected to hold in a couple of hours. Now, Dangote Petroleum Refinery has said that the recent adjustment in ex-depot price of premium motor spirit is directly related to the significant increase in global crude oil prices. The company, however, states its commitment to guarantee quality to customers even after a 5% adjustment to ex-depot price from 899 naira 50 kobo to 950 naira per litre. Dangote partners, which include Adova, Hayden, and MRS Holdings, are expected to dispense petrol for Nigerians at a retail price of 970 naira per litre nationwide. Now, let's take a break. When we come back, of course, we do have conversations around that, and you can expect the World Trump Day is going to dominate our conversations today on the program. That's after this break. Stay with us. You're welcome back. Still watching Business Incorporated here on Channels Television. Yes, just before we went on break, we're telling you about the statement from Dangote Petroleum Refinery, telling us about the need, why they had to increase their the price at the bulk, of course, which will reflect or has already reflected at the pumps. And they did say that their partners would have to be selling, that's MRS, Hayden, and Adova, would have to be selling petrol from the pump at 970 naira. Remember, we had a Christmas gift during the festive period from Dangote that brought that price down to, I think, 935. But because of increase in crude oil, they say. And we know we're operating in a deregulated market, so you can't expect things like this. But let's get the views of someone who has first-hand experience, and that's talking about the president of Petrol Products Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria. That's Petrol. That's Dr. Billy Gillis Harry. Joins us from our Abuja studio. Dr. Harry, good afternoon and welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having us on your show. Good afternoon, Nigeria.
So I guess what Nigerians would be told would be, well, you're operating in a deregulated market, so when we see the price of crude increase, we should expect that it will, be reflected at the pump. But I guess a lot of Nigerians would say, what if it's reduced? Can we also expect that there'll be a reduction? Because as at Friday, we saw Brent was about $82 or so. Now it's come down to 80, and WTI is 77. So can we expect that there will also be an immediate or almost immediate translation of a reduction in prices?
Well, thank you for having us. What I would say is that the facts are already laid out by our very senior, partners and colleagues in the business, Dangote Refinery. They've already laid out the facts, and that, I think, is a very commendable one, because this is what we need in the industry. Simple, straightforward, up-to-date, on-time, transparent information, dissemination, and passing. The fact is that changes in the price of landing 1 liter of petrol, of any kind of, whether it's AGO, is PMS, is ATK, any kind of product that's refined, will be affected by economic, environmental factors. And what that means is that if prices of a particular input commodity changes, it will impact on the final outcome price. And if it reduces for some reason, it will take a little bit of time for it to, be reflected in the pump price. But we at the pump, as retail outlet owners, we are very optimistic that things will get better for Nigerians. Clarity of information will be disseminated promptly, especially now that the government has set up the Petroleum Industry Stakeholders Forum. That's really going to be a very big, efficiency tool, to ensure that the industry is very successfully delivered. and Nigerians have the best for it. So straight to your question, is the reduction in the price of Brent and WTI going to affect the prices? The issue is at what time is that crude oil going to be inside of the refinery? If it is not there at the right time, it will not show until they have that price reduction reflected in the cost of doing business.
While we appreciate that, but we also know that crude is bought in contracts, I think about 2 months or so. So why should we see that a couple of days increase, or maybe maximum of a week? I don't think we had, was it up to a week last week? And then we see it reflect at the pump or affect us, because this crude was bought like 2 months ago, and the contract for the one that is being bought now, was also agreed about 2 months ago or so. So when we take this into calculation, Nigerians wonder, is it just fun that we see the increase coming in?
Well, I don't think so. First of all, cost of doing business is an internal matter of the company or the organization that is in charge of that particular business. It's not a public discourse as such. And you don't recall that Dangote refinery is a private, endeavor, private enterprise that is thriving on efficiency and also anticipated profit to be able to carry on the business. So what cost input that makes that difference will be difficult for anybody who is an outsider to understand and explain. So the explanation given by Dangote refinery, I think, suffices the fact that this is what it is. And because of the efficiency that the regulation tends to bring into the system, this, fluctuation of pricing up and down will be a consistent, occurrence in the business in the coming years.
What about others? I mean, we also have the government or NNPCL-owned refineries now. Can we expect the same thing? After all, everybody is shopping from the same market, talking about crude.
Well, don't forget that the NNPC also have the crude oil. And so there can be some internal business mechanism that we may not be able to explain. But I do believe that NNPC's complementing factor in all sides of the equation, their provision of crude oil to all the local refineries, and also being in the business of refining and also retailing, will certainly, give us much more hope and expectation of better times for Nigeria.
All right. Well, I think I should say congratulations to Petrol being recognized officially as in the Stakeholders Forum, the Petroleum Stakeholders Forum in Nigeria. But what does that mean, and what difference can we expect that to make to the sector?
Thank you so very much. On behalf of all of our thousands of members across the country, I thank you for that congratulation, and it was very well taken. The ministry and the president, I believe, has a very fruitful proposition for the future of the oil and gas industry in Nigeria, and they thought it wise to bring all the stakeholders under one roof. So what that certainly will do going forward, I believe, that all of us as stakeholders cannot be discussing just our private thoughts or our projections. It must be done collectively with the knowledge of every party that's involved. So that way the industry has just one channel of information, one strategic plan to look at policies, and also to be able to advise on the areas that we think that Nigerians will be better for it. So it's going to be a lot of great expectations. And listening to the Honorable Minister of State, Senator Lopobri Hennekin, who made the final pronouncement on the stakeholder forum, you can see that his objective and the objective of the President Ahmed Bola Tinubu administration is to ensure that the industry is stable, the industry is stabilized, and there is focus in every one, arm of the stakeholder organizations to ensure that we serve Nigerians. The objective is just to serve Nigerians effectively and more efficiently. And I think that's what the Petroleum Industry Stakeholder Forum, and that's why Petrol wholeheartedly endorsed it, and we believe that it's going to be the new way to ensure that Nigerians get the better in the downstream, midstream, and even upstream, because it was a meeting of all the levels of the industry. So we congratulate not just ourselves, but also the industry leaders who have made that possible. And also congratulate the president, congratulate also the minister, who is believed to be going to be the head of that forum. And we should be taking things one time at a step now.
So some time ago, we did hear about, Petrol getting import license and all of that. I wonder what's the updates of that?
Sorry, what did you say?
The import license, which we heard about being secured and
okay.
Yeah, what's the update on that?
Well, Petrol has a for-profit company that is sitting in for all of our businesses also. And just like the deregulation has given leave to, we're entitled to seek for how to import products when it is needed. We are entitled to partner or grow even a refinery, as already is the case, because we have partners who are already working with us on discussing on delivery of 50,000 barrels per day refinery. So a lot is going on, and the industry, supervisors are giving us a lot of support to get to where we want to go. But in the meantime, the stakeholder agreement that importation of PMS should not happen is still ongoing. And you can see that during the Yuletide, there were no crises. The NNPC rolled out a lot of product. Dangote rolled out a lot of product, and some of the other refineries that are doing white products were also doing their best to make sure that prices and petroleum product was stable and affordable and is available. The most critical is that petroleum product is available. That is what will guarantee our energy security. And then, of course, pricing will keep going up and down until we have a very standard pricing that Nigerians can look up to. At the meantime, I think things are looking good, and Nigerians will be the better for it.
What about the crude for Naira? That's been applauded by Dangote. How effective is it at this time?
Well, recall that Petrol, in our very early advocation, made that pronouncement that it would be very good for Nigerian refineries to buy crude oil from Nigeria in Nigerian Naira. And we had a lot of reason for that, and the government also maybe thinking along that line, came up with that policy. And Dangote has been hailing that policy, and I believe other refineries are also giving credit to the president for that. If it was not working, we will not be getting Dangote. It's a consistent appreciation of the president for that singular, policy. So it is a good one, and I believe that it will get better as the industry keeps progressing.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Billy Gillies-Harry, President of Petrol. I guess Nigerians, we just have to get used to that movement in the price of petrol at the pump as the global crude oil price moves. Thank you so much for giving us insight into this afternoon.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.
All right, so that's it, but it's still World Trump Day, and it's been as incoming president is inaugurated into power today. He's told us to expect, I think, about 1,000 executive orders from the first day. So we'll keenly watch his speech. Meanwhile, of course, all of this is going to have ripple effect on emerging economies and even the developed economies. Let's find out some of those things. That was a conversation that Laddie Williams had this morning with our guests. So let's take a little bit of that to refresh our minds.
Also, the issue about trade deficits and American First, where the president now, I would say, has said that countries that have trade deficits with the U.S. may have issues with the U.S. Let's put it that way. So, on one hand, I see opportunities, but it is, like we say, a wait and see in that area as well. But also, we know that there are interesting areas of I would say trade, but at least in terms of relationships and economic ties, there's been interest in the area of both the startup space and obviously the creative area as well. So yes, we will see some upsurge, and I think that is something that we're quite hopeful about.
All right, I can tell that US, features, I think, okay, the market is closed for today, but there seems to be a lot of excitement going on. Let's see if that excitement flows to the Nigerian markets with Will Ibon. Will, happy World Trump Day today.
Happy World Trump Day.
Exactly. I think we should remember January 20 as World Trump Day or Global Trump Day.
We'll always mark this day. Don't forget it. It's going to be going to the calendar in the Times
as World Trump
as history. You know, it also falls, you know, Martin Luther King's Remembrance Day.
Yes, I think that's why the markets are closed.
Yes, the markets are closed, and also, you know, for the inaugural ceremony, everyone wants to be part of it. Unfortunately, Trump will be at WEF, that's World Economic Forum.
No, he's going to be doing it virtually. Yeah, so he's still going to be at the White House.
Important day for him today.
Yeah, he's going to be very busy.
I call it the second coming of Trump.
And don't forget how many executive orders he has said is going to pronounce today as he's sworn into office. And even the Ukraine-Russia war is also hanging on him because he did promise us he was going to take care of that even before getting into office.
Of course. But you know that Trump, this is one of his signature things. When he comes in, he has papers, always signing executive orders.
So I want to take about 4 years
for him. So let's just go and see how this roller coaster, well, if it's going to be a roller coaster or it's going to be smooth sailing for us or in other parts of the world. But let's just see the market performance in African markets. Well, we see that intraday, the major markets were in positive territory except Nigeria. We see Nigeria trading in negative territory. We don't know if they're reacting to Trump coming, but maybe the markets will tell us or analysts will give us insights into that. But we'll see Nigeria's NGX in negative territory, 0.14% at intraday. 102,000 points, not bad. Hopefully we stay there. And the JSE in South Africa is 0.24% up at intraday. Let's look at Egypt's EGX. You know, they were also up in the green, 0.34%. But Kenya closed Friday session in the green. We're hoping that, you know, they sustain that positive momentum and close positive at the close of business today. But let's dive deeper into what's happening at the NGX. And let's bring in Onose Asotie Enaolo, is investment analyst, Main Street Capital. Onose, good afternoon. Last week, we saw the market having a big drag. We saw it down 2.94% in last week's trades. Negative sentiment still persisting at intraday as we saw now. What are these stocks driving this negative performance?
Hi, Will. Thanks for having me. So two things. There is the fundamental part and there is the technical part. One thing that's fundamental, we've seen some really high cap stocks. We've seen sell activities in high cap stocks, especially for last week. If you look at Dangote Cement, which is a large cap stock, one of the largest capitalized stocks, we see a fall from about 278 naira to about 380, 390 naira at the end of last week. You know, so we've seen some really, you know, high cap stocks, you know, really take people selling in some of these stocks. Now, on the technical aspect, if you look at the chart, you find out that, you know, the rally that we saw starting in November, December, up until, you know, first, second week in January, it brought us to the all-time high, close to the all-time high. So if you look at the chart, we are close to a very key supply zone. And last week's negative price action was just price, you know, rejecting that supply zone. So you now have to like what happens, you know, during this week, you know, to kind of determine whether we're going to go lower technically or even now go back to retest the zone.
what's happening at intraday, I just can't help but bring up the fact that markets, as I said earlier, could be reacting to Trump's second coming. Now, talk to us about what this means for markets in Nigeria, especially as Trump regains the helm of U.S. leadership.
Yeah, so Trump coming into power or coming to his inauguration, there are a couple of things, and all of these things really hang around his economic policies. Now, we know that Trump is big on deregulation in the energy and the finance sector. Trump is big on, America first trade relations, and a couple of other things, immigration and all. But when you're focusing on more of the economics, what we see right now is Trump wants lower taxes, lower tax rates, and he's not really that bothered about inflation. So right now he's even a bit at odds with the Fed, which is really worried about inflation right now. And so now people believe that Trump's policies, one, may cause some tensions, geopolitically speaking, with the US's trade partners, and on the other hand, it may lead to really high inflation. Now, if you have really high inflation, then the Fed is going to want to come in to, stop slashing rates first and start hiking rates, to combat that inflation. And then we saw that happen in the market last week, where even a lot of risky securities in the US market declined last week, or the second week of January, because the Fed expressed some caution. Now, if that happens and the Fed starts to hike rates, then the value of the dollar in the international markets becomes stronger. Even also with Trump's policies, the deregulation, if we do see economic growth and a stronger GDP, then it might trickle down to the US dollar. Now, if that happens, you have a situation where the CBN might be under more pressure to defend the naira, and they might have to defend the naira a bit more aggressively, which might impact our foreign reserves, the way it goes right now, and even imports and exports activities, with different companies, especially with consumer good companies that are currently carrying dollar-denominated debts. If we do see a stronger dollar, then they may also be even further negatively impacted, in the Nigerian market.
Okay, so if Trump is talking about tariff, he's been talking tariffs, lower taxes. How do we see this? Is there any way Nigerians or Nigerian exporters or manufacturers can leverage on this to probably make cost of doing business easier for them? Is there any way we can benefit from this, even though it seems like it's, America first right now?
Well, I think one of, off the top of my head, if you do want to, the best way will probably be through oil. I know that there have been situations where even the Nigerian government and other Nigerian companies have been making strategic moves in the energy sector to really boost oil revenue. Right? If we do want to survive this first as an economy, then we are going to have to boost our oil earnings, so that we can boost our foreign reserves. Another thing is basically just the exports. If for companies that are in situations where they can't export, to export goods and services, and export goods that I guess the U.S. economy or U.S. firms or companies will want, so that you could earn foreign exchange, right? Because I believe that the best way that we, at our current level right now, can really hedge against this is to earn, as much foreign currency as possible to kind of offset the possible decline in the naira that is expected if the US dollar starts to really push up.
Further, speaking of, you mentioned oil, ramping up production, of oil. We saw in the news last week that Oando recently won a bid round in Angola for the Kwanza Basin block. How does this help Oando's current situation? We do know that investors have been clamoring for Oando to, start, giving them returns for their investments, basically. So how does this help Oando in this situation? We do know that is more expansion, but how does it really trickle down to the bottom line of investors benefiting from this bid round?
Well, short answer, higher production capacity. The more onshore oil fields that they acquire, the higher their, theoretical production capacity. So I think right now with the acquisition of the successful bid in Angola, I think that puts Owando's production capacity at about I think 100,000 barrels per day. Now, if they can live up to this particular output capacity, then hopefully they could increase their revenue. Right now, their financials, they are profitable, not wildly profitable. Net margins for 2024 was about, I think, 3%, which was even down from about 9% previously. But any avenue they have to increase their revenue is positive. Because if they can increase their revenue, then they can have more positive cash flow to even maybe pay off whatever debt or foreign exchange issues they might have, and then move further into positive profitability rather. So I believe these strategic acquisitions are sensible at this point in time, and if they can just really ramp up their production capacity, then we could actually see more revenue and possibility moving forward.
Thank you so much. Investors will be waiting with bated breath for that. I know many of them will. Thank you so much, Nonse Asotie, now law investment analyst, Main Street Capital, for joining us in Business Incorporated. Now let's look to other major equities now in Africa, in the East, Middle East actually. Major exchanges were mixed at intraday. Let's look at Dubai and Abu Dhabi. We see them down at intraday 0.18%. Abu Dhabi was down 0.02%. But let's look at other markets there. Saudi, that's the Tadawul, was in the green 0.45%. Qatari index was up 0.38%. Now let's flip now to Asia markets. We saw that early morning rise, not the early morning rise, they actually closed in the green ahead of Donald Trump's presidential inauguration. Investors are waiting more clarity, however, on the policies of the incoming administration. And Japan's Nikkei 225 climbed 1.17%, 38,902 points. Probably they will gain the 39,000 level. And the Kospi in South Korea, we see it down 0.14%. You see those sentiments impacting in flip sides and opposite directions for most of these markets. Now, Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index, we see it up very strongly in the green, 1.75%, hitting its highest level since December 31 before pairing gains. Now, this was lifted by consumer and healthcare firms. Now, we see and that was the last trading for today. Mainland China, Shanghai, we saw it up 0.08%. Also great for the markets. They also saw that the Bank of China held their 1-year loan prime rate at 3.1% and the 5-year loan prime rate at 3.6%. We also saw that the yuan has been depreciating against the dollar, but it strengthened modestly, at the close of business today. But we're hoping to see if it keeps going stronger, or many analysts believe it will depreciate further. But the question is how far and how fast will the yuan fall against the dollar? But we'll wait to see how analysts talk about that in the future. But look at India. The Nifty 50 also closed in the green, 0.62%. We're just saying that markets in the U.S., moving on, let's see how that... there's no market in the U.S. We did talk about that. They're closed today for Trump's inauguration and also in observance of Martin Luther King Jr.'s Remembrance Day. But we're hoping to see how markets will react post-inauguration. That's what we're waiting to see. I'm sure a lot of jitters will probably come out from his speech. I'm just waiting to see what he's going to say
feel today. Your excitement, and it's a global excitement. I tell you, positive in some places, negative in some places. But we'll see how it goes.
We'll definitely see.
Thank you so much. All right, so it's still World Trump Day, and I know Lars is feeling the heat over there in Germany. It's a big day in Washington, but it spreads to all over the world as we all await the inauguration of President Donald Trump for his second term as President of the United States of Africa. Let's find out what's happening over there in Germany, how the Germans and how Berlin is taking this and what they're exactly looking at this time. Hi, Lars. Good afternoon. How's the fever there as we all celebrate World Trump Day?
Yeah, hi Ini, thanks for having me. Well, it's quite clear, I gotta be right honest with you here, that most people in Germany would have wished for a very different scenario to unfold. A large majority of people here had been hoping for Kamala Harris to win the election, and that includes people both on the political as well as the business side. However, as soon as the election was decided with Donald Trump winning his second term in office, German decision makers tried to get at least a bit closer to Trump, closer maybe than they felt comfortable with, but that's politics. Now, keeping a close connection to the White House is obviously important for Germany and for the EU as well, because the transatlantic partnership of past decades is generally seen as beneficial in so many ways, and it is under threat under a Trump administration. Now, the question is, how do you get on Trump's good side? German Chancellor Olaf Scholz spoke to him twice after the election and even was commending him on asking smart questions, but it doesn't look like that impressed anyone on the other side of the Atlantic. Trump's buddy and advisor Elon Musk just recently called the chancellor here Olaf Schitz and endorsed the extreme right-wing AfD party that is opposing Scholz in the upcoming German elections. So honestly, nobody here is in a celebratory mood when it comes to Trump's inauguration, but they're trying to make the best of it.
Yeah, well, for Berlin to be trying to get on Trump's good side, it means there's some things on the line. What's on the line for Germany as it takes office?
Well, Ini, besides the geopolitical stability, it's mostly trade issues that are worrying Germany. As of last year, Germany has exported goods worth more than 150 billion euros to the US, and that is about 10% of our total exports. Among the biggest German exporters to the US, by the way, is the pharmaceutical industry, with around a quarter of these total exports. And there's, of course, machinery, cars, trucks, and also to a much lesser degree, also exporting chemicals and materials to the United States. Now, Germany's trade surplus with the US has grown to over 60 billion euros, as our imports from there are quite a bit lower. And that is pretty much exactly what Trump doesn't like. And he has announced a while ago that he will hit the EU and Germany too with massive tariffs. And that could be anywhere between 10 and 20% if we trust his campaign promises. Could be more too. We really just don't have a clear indication. Trump has made it clear what he wants to see: German companies as well as companies from other countries moving to the US and producing there instead of just sending their goods over. And that, of course, could be dangerous for Germany. We would lose jobs here. Our economy would end up being weaker. And in a zero-sum game, the US is the winner. We would be the losers. And unfortunately, we know from Trump's first term and from everything he has said ever since that he is indeed viewing global politics and trade not in terms of strategic partnerships, but he actually does see this all as a zero-sum game.
Yeah, Berlin certainly has a whole lot to consider and to do to balance all of this out. And I wonder if that fear and uncertainty has also crept into the minds of investors this afternoon.
Well, investors have obviously been looking at the whole Trump situation for a while. If you're looking at markets right now, it's interesting. There's really nothing moving. We are just flat in the DAX. It almost looks a little bit like investors are just having the TV on, waiting for more analysis. And of course, then later in the day on maybe watching the inauguration. But, when I say the DAX is trading flat today, it is doing that at a very high level. The German blue chips are on their way to breaking through 21,000 points, and that is literally days after they broke 20,000 for the first time ever. German markets up 4% for last week, but nobody seems to know what to make of this rally, really. Some analysts are saying that they expected the market to reach 21,000 by the end of the year. And now, will the index have that much more strength to continue this current trend, especially with Trump taking over and all these issues on the table that I just mentioned? We simply don't know. What I'm hearing mostly from the business and market community is that they still see Trump as a factor of major uncertainty. Of course, some of his policies could be very beneficial too for businesses, but there could also be backlash. two stocks to look at today that have not much to do with Trump. So let's look a little bit further into markets. Defense contractor Rheinmetall is up after receiving yet another huge contract that looks pretty solid there. And then Commerzbank, one of the biggest German banks, is also up today after announcing some more cost cuts.
Yeah, well, I do hope after Trump's inauguration speech today, some of those uncertainty would have left the market and we'll have a bit of certainty. Thank you so much, Lars.
Thank you, Ini.
All right, I guess you can expect Trump to reflect in everything. But now, let's see what else is happening in Africa. Nigeria, the maiden shipment under the African Continental Free Trade Area, that's after successfully arrived at the Mombasa port in Kenya. This development, according to the Nigeria AfCFTA Coordinating Office, marks a historic moment for Africa's trade landscape. Well, they say that the achievement marks a significant milestone for the country in realizing the vision of increased intra-African and economic integration championed by the agreement, in line with the decision of the AU Assembly at the 31st Ordinary Sessions of the Assembly. So we do hope to hear more news, under the AfCFTA within Africa. Now, in Kenya, there's the area under cultivation of wheat in the country has been falling since 2019 as farmers shift to maize farming. That's according to data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. In 2023, the area under wheat cultivation was 104,440 hectares compared to 2022 when it was 119,554 hectares, with production decreasing as a result. On the flip side, maize cemented its position as a staple food crop, with the area dedicated to maize cultivation increasing from 2.1 million hectares in 2022 to about 2.4 million. Kenya remains a net importer of wheat, with over 80% of the consumed produce being sourced from Russia, Ukraine, and Canada. Now we move to Kenya, where South Africa's opposition party in parliament has expressed deep concern over severe consequences of the collapse of the Development of Finance Agency, Italia SOC. This follows the Reserve Bank's Prudential Authority filings for its provisional liquidation, signaling yet another failure among state-owned entities. Despite these developments, the government has assured Italia Bank's retail depositors that their funds will be safeguarded and guaranteed throughout the ongoing liquidation process. Action SA Member Parliament Alan Disney doubts any meaningful reversal is possible, highlighting the severe impact on vulnerable customers who cannot afford to lose their funds.
Action SA raised the alarm that without a capital injection by the KZN government as the shareholder or by National Treasury, Italia would not be adequately capitalized, and consequently its collapse was inevitable. 4 months later, exactly as predicted, the Prudential Authority announced recently that it had applied for the provisional liquidation of Italia, citing the need to protect the best interests of approximately 257,000 depositors of Italia. Italia's latest assertion that it will oppose the Prudential Authority's application provides no confidence that anything meaningful can be done to reverse the bank's collapse, the impact of which, most importantly, falls hardest on its customers who simply cannot afford to lose their money.
Well, the impact of any bank liquidation or collapse is always widespread, especially to the vulnerable. Now, let's get back into the spirit of Trump, World Trump Day. You know that the crypto space will capture it the most. And Ladi, you didn't even wait for me to call you. Are you not excited?
Okay, let me just go back.
You have shapes. You're so excited because it's World Trump Day, and your market is obviously reacting positively. I'm even surprised to see any kind of red at all.
Still riding on the back of a Trump presidency. But it's interesting. The major red we're seeing on this board is Solana. Yeah. That's coming from Solana, and that's where most of the meme coins, are launched. That's where you
have you gone to Trump's meme?
Yeah, so I guess maybe they're dumping Solana for the meme coins.
It's too early.
But who knows, at this point, because one would expect Solana will keep rising with all of that volume going into their platform. It actually flipped Ethereum at some point, when it comes to market cap and total value lock. So a lot is happening.
I think it was just within 24 hours or so.
Yeah, a lot has happened within 24 hours.
A whole lot.
My heart goes out to those that were going long on Bitcoin at some point, but they had to get liquidated. Then somehow Bitcoin came back up. But I think you have something to...
Yes. I do have an information for our DSTV viewers at this time. Our DSTV viewers will be handing you over. You'll be going to Abuja, this time the Federal Capital Territory, Nigeria, because there's an official commissioning ceremony of Naharati River Ukaya Access Road. More infrastructure coming the way of residents of the Federal Capital Territory, so you don't want to miss that. But that's for our DSTV viewers. For our viewers on other platforms, we're still here, Business Incorporated. If you're watching on YouTube and you still want to continue with us right here, just switch to the next stream beside the first one, and then you continue sticking with us here on Business Incorporated. So bye-bye to our DSTV viewers, and welcome to...
right here with the Trump trade.
Exactly.
Still going on. So, that's the picture right there. It's majorly green in the market today. Countdown to Trump inauguration. Let's look at how investors are feeling. What's the sentiment there? Extreme greed, as expected. What kind of rally we're seeing in most of the coins. Investors are acting extremely greedy in today's market. Let's look at some of the headlines now. That's the incoming First Lady to launch her own cryptocurrency following the path of her husband, at this point. And it's called, it's an official Melania meme. That was launched yesterday, and I'm sure investors are wondering, is it going to outperform Trump's meme? But at the end of the day, it's a family coin at this point. Then Solana flipped USDT for a few hours. In an interesting turn of events, they briefly surpassed Tether to claim the fourth largest spot in the cryptocurrency rankings by market capitalization. But we saw that dip by Solana, and that also brought the market cap down. The Bitcoin striking new record high today, $109,000, as Donald Trump, has signaled plans to deregulate the cryptocurrency sector, and he's preparing to be sworn in as president. So all of that rallying the market, investors feeling very hot right now. Let's bring in Emmanuel Anyasi now, crypto influencer. Hello, Emmanuel.
Yeah, good afternoon, Adi.
Good afternoon, Emmanuel, and I'm sure you've been following all that's played out with the meme coins. And, we have from presidents now, who would have thought this would happen? Did you see this happening? The president of America, the United States of America, actually launching a meme coin.
Well, I don't know, but it wasn't a new thing for Trump. We could remember that in 2022, he did launch his own NFTs. He sold shoes NFTs. He has done so many things that people can't even imagine. So for meme coin was the height of it, because I never expected the president of America would go and launch a meme coin. He's holding 80% of the total meme coin, and everybody knows how a meme coin actually ends up when the hype actually dies down. But it is what it is. It is what it is.
So is this going to be different since it's coming from the incoming president? Is this going to be that meme coin that investors can say, okay, we're not going to get rug pulled?
There's no way you are not going to get rug. The thing is first confess out. If you are in early, you make profit. Everybody know the theory, the old theory about meme coin. You make profit and you leave. Well, some people will still be there. Some people will lose money. But we know that like the majority of the supply that they are holding is actually locked, and it has to be released like 6 months. 6 month time some will be released and all that. But we know that the market valuation currently, the FDV is around 52 billion. It went as high as $78 billion. It actually surpassed Dodge in 2 days, which is actually something else. I actually first spotted it as I woke up on Saturday morning around 7 billion. and I was very, very shocked because it actually affected other altcoins and AI in particular. People actually dumping their bag to go and aping on Trump meme coin to actually get in on the ride. Yesterday we saw the wife actually doing his own token. So the whole meme coin space is actually a frenzy now. Anybody actually doing with this afternoon we saw Cuba government actually launching their own meme coin, and later on they deleted it, but other people took it, and it is what it is.
So I guess countries are launching meme coins.
Countries are launching.
So
yes, so they are launching.
let's look at the incoming First Lady's meme coin. I'm guessing, what price did it list at? Was it $7 or was it less than $7? That's listing price.
No, yeah, for the First Lady, Melania, it listed I think it listed below 1 billion, because we saw it as it listed around 1 billion. People were trying to buy, everybody was trying to buy. That was what actually shut down the Solana network yesterday. It was listed around below 1 billion, but people that got in early, they bought in, and it went as high as 14 billion today. But she said she's holding like 86% of the total supply. That the thing supply 30% will be released in 1 month time. So I don't know. I don't know what the family Bitcoin is doing. They say they still have more plans. I don't know. Maybe it's the children that will launch their own Bitcoin. I don't know what is happening, but it's the age we have actually discovered ourselves in crypto, and anything can play out.
Right.
I won't be surprised to see Leon actually doing his own, or Putin actually doing his own Bitcoin.
Yeah, because there are a couple of other meme coins there claiming to be from Putin. Some are claiming to be Elon, but we've not heard anything, from Putin or Elon, about their official meme coin. So, how do you think investors should navigate, this space? Because at the end of the day, some believe they're going to make life-changing money. Some come in as exit liquidity for others. How do you navigate this market?
Well, I don't know. Investor coming to trade Bitcoin, you should be able to accept the risks. Well, yeah. When a meta starts, like the Trump meta, when it starts, you expect people, degenerates, other people to actually go and do their own, just to get into the hype and all that. So the only two official coins that they've launched from the president family is Trump and Melania token. Any other one is just people actually trying to do. Elon Musk has not launched any token. He has not associated himself in any token apart from Dodge. Dodge is his main love. So, but he hasn't even shared it lately. So, we don't know yet. But the best thing, if you actually want to play the game, the best thing is, if you don't want to actually do much of the risks and get in and get out, the best thing is to actually follow them on Twitter. You actually buy when they announce, not try to front run them.
Right. I can imagine how difficult it is for an investor, a first-time investor, trying to navigate all of this. I can imagine the headache, seeing the price plummet once you enter. But we'll keep tracking to see how it plays out. Who gets robbed first? Thank you so much, Emmanuel Adiasi. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ladi.
All right. So, Ini, there you have it. I don't know, at this point, maybe I might see an Ini meme coin with the way things are going.
Laddie, nothing is constant. Change is the only constant thing in life.
Okay.
So, you can even see a president to do meme coin.
Right. Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm-hmm. That would be incredible.
Exactly.
If the president actually posts it on his X.
So,
Anyway.
All right, Laddie, thank you so much. Well, it's the World Trump Day, and you can expect all sorts of things. Trump is an exciting person, and politics outside politics. And that's why we're keeping you abreast. Stay here with Channels Television, 4 p.m. We have a special broadcast coming on that will look at all sides of a second term of Trump right here on Channels Television. You don't want to miss it. I won't be there. But I'm happy to tell you that you're going to stay informed. I'm John McWell. I'll see you at 10, Stock Market Report. See you then.